The docking bay of the Xantharian Council Station hummed with activity as ships from a dozen different species came and went. Kixtal stood at his navigation console, his 6 fingers dancing across the holographic controls as he reviewed the day's docking requests. As a senior navigation officer, he had seen countless vessels pass through these docks, but today's manifest showed something unusual. A human ship was requesting clearance. Kixtal's antenna twitched with curiosity. Humans were the newest species to join the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 5 cycles ago. Their technology was considered primitive by most standards, yet somehow they had managed to crack the secrets of jump space. The galactic community was still trying to understand how. The communication screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a dark blue uniform. Her face was smooth and pink, with only a patch of dark hair on top of her head. Kixtal still found human appearances strange, with their tiny sensory organs and lack of proper antenna. "This is Commander Sarah Chin of the UESS Pathfinder requesting docking permission at Bay 7, the human said. Kixtal processed the request and replied in the standard manner. "Request received, Pathfinder. Please transmit your trajectory calculations for the past 3 jumps and your current approach vector. Standard safety protocol requires verification of all computational data before docking clearance is granted." There was a pause. The human commander's face showed an expression Kixtal had learned to recognize as confusion. Her eyebrows moved closer together and her mouth twisted slightly. "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" Commander Chin asked. "You want our what?" Kixtal felt his own confusion rising. This was basic procedure known to every spacefaring species. "Your trajectory calculations, Commander. The computational data from your navigation matrix. All vessels must submit this information to verify the accuracy of their systems. It is for everyone's safety." "Oh," the human said slowly. "We don't really have those in a format you could read. We just plotted the course and flew it." Now Kixtal was certain there was a translation error. "Commander, please clarify. How did you calculate your jump coordinates without submitting the data to your computational matrix?" "We used the navigation computer to check our math, if that's what you mean," Chin said. "But the actual course plotting was done manually." This made no sense. Kixtal pulled up the Pathfinder's flight path on his screen. The ship had made 3 jumps across 2 sectors, navigating through varying gravitational fields and around stellar phenomena. The calculations required for such a journey would involve trillions of variables. Even his own advanced Xantharian computational matrix would need at least 6 hours to process that much data. "Commander Chin," Kixtal said carefully, "trajectory calculation for interstellar travel requires quantum-level processing of multiple gravitational variables, stellar drift compensations and jump space coordinates. This cannot be done manually." The human smiled, showing her flat white teeth. "Well, we've been doing it manually for the past 5 years. Works fine for us." Kixtal's supervisor, an older Xantharian named Torvas, approached the console. His antennae were gray with age and experience. "What seems to be the problem?" "The humans claim they calculate their trajectories manually," Kixtal explained. "Without a computational matrix." Torvas's antenna stood straight up in surprise. "That is impossible. No organic mind can process that volume of data." On the screen, Commander Chin sighed. "Look, I can plot you a course right now if it helps. Where do you want me to navigate to?" Kixtal and Torvas exchanged glances. This human either did not understand what she was claiming, or something very strange was happening. "Very well," Torvas said. "Plot a course from your current position to the nebula of Kethron. That is a complex route requiring passage through 3 gravity wells." The human nodded and looked down at something off-screen. Her hands moved rapidly. After only a few moments she looked back up. "Done. Transmitting coordinates now." Kixtal's screen filled with navigation data. His eyes widened as he verified the numbers. The course was perfect. Every calculation was correct. And the human had done it in less than 15 minutes. The next morning, Kixtal arrived at his station to find it surrounded by scientists. Word had spread quickly through the council station about the human ship and their impossible navigation methods. Dr. Velkos, the station's chief computational scientist, stood at the center of the crowd, his blue skin flickering with patterns of intense curiosity. "I must speak with these humans," Dr. Velkos announced. "There must be a logical explanation." Kixtal arranged a meeting in one of the station's conference rooms. Commander Chin arrived with another human, a tall male she introduced as Lieutenant James Park, her navigation officer. Both humans carried small electronic devices that looked primitive compared to Xantharian technology. Dr. Velkos wasted no time. Commander Chin, please explain how you perform trajectory calculations without a quantum computational matrix. Chin and Park exchanged glances. We use math, Chin said simply. Basic physics and mathematics. But the complexity, Dr. Velkos protested. A single jump requires calculating the interaction of thousands of gravitational fields, compensating for stellar drift, accounting for spatial distortion. Our most advanced computers need hours to process this data. Park pulled out a small pad of paper and a writing instrument. Kixtao recognized it as one of the primitive tools humans used before their digital age. May I show you? Park asked. He began drawing on the paper, creating curves and angles. Let's say we want to jump from point A to point B. First, we visualize the space between them. We know the major gravity wells in that region from our star charts. Then we calculate the curve our ship needs to follow. But how do you process all the variables? Kixtal asked, leaning forward. We estimate, Park said with a shrug. We round numbers to make them easier to work with. If a gravity well is pulling at 9.87 units, we call it 10. Close enough for navigation. Dr. Velkos's skin flashed red with alarm. Close enough? You cannot estimate with interstellar navigation. The margin for error is too small. Chin smiled. Actually, space is mostly empty. The margins are bigger than you think. We just need to get close to our target, then make small adjustments as we go. Humans have been doing this kind of math for thousands of years, Park added. Back on Earth, we used to fire cannons at enemies miles away. We calculated where the cannonball would land based on angle and powder charge. Same basic principle, just bigger scale. Kixtal felt his world tilting. You compare interstellar navigation to ancient weapons? Sure, Chin said. Or throwing a ball. When a human throws something, we don't stop to calculate the exact trajectory. Our brains just do it automatically. We see the target, we adjust for distance and gravity, and we throw. We've trained ourselves to do the same thing with starships. Dr. Velkos pulled up a holographic display. I want to test this. I will give you a navigation problem. You will solve it using your methods, and I will verify with our computational matrix. He displayed a complex route through a sector filled with stellar objects. Navigate from here to here. Account for these 7 gravity wells, this asteroid field, and this radiation zone. Chen pulled out her small calculator device. Her fingers moved across it rapidly while her eyes studied the holographic map. Park scribbled notes on his paper, drawing quick diagrams. Kixtao watched in fascination. The humans worked together, speaking in short phrases. That star cluster pulls left, compensate by 3 degrees. Radiation zone adds 2 hours to travel time. We can slingshot around that gas giant, save fuel. 12 minutes later, Chen looked up. Finished. Here are the coordinates. Dr. Velkos fed the data into his computational matrix for verification. The room fell silent as they waited. The matrix normally took 6 hours for such calculations, but verification was faster. The results appeared on screen. Dr. Velkos's skin went pale white. Impossible, he whispered. Your calculations are accurate within acceptable margins. All of them. Chin stood up and stretched. Not impossible, doctor. Just human. Now about that docking clearance. Kixtal approved the docking with trembling fingers. Everything he knew about navigation had just been challenged by creatures who used paper and pencils. The council chamber buzzed with heated debate. Representatives from 15 species had gathered to discuss the human navigation problem. Some believed it was a trick. Others thought the humans were using hidden computational devices. A few worried that if humans truly could navigate this way, it would disrupt the entire galactic navigation industry. Council leader Jurax, a towering creature with crystal formations growing from his shoulders, raised his hand for silence. We must verify these claims properly. Dr. Velkos, what do you propose? Dr. Velkos stepped forward, his skin pulsing with nervous energy. The Kepler maze. If humans can navigate through that, their abilities are genuine. A wave of gasps and clicks filled the chamber. The Kepler maze was a dense asteroid field near the station, notorious for its unstable gravitational pockets. New navigation systems were tested there and many failed. The gravitational forces shifted constantly, requiring non-stop recalculation. Most ships took 12 hours to pass through safely, stopping every few minutes to recompute their course. That is too dangerous, Kixtal protested from his seat. The maze has destroyed test vessels before. Then the humans can decline, Jirac said. But if they wish to prove their methods work, this is the standard test. Commander Chen was summoned to the council chamber. When the challenge was explained, she did not hesitate. We accept. When do we start? You understand the danger? Jirac asked. The gravitational fields in the maze change every few seconds. Your ship could be torn apart if your calculations are wrong. We understand, Chen replied calmly. Who will perform these calculations? Dr. Velkos asked. Chen smiled. I will. My navigation officer, Lieutenant Park. And my daughter Maya. She is studying physics at university. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Kixtal could not believe what he heard. Commander, you want to bring a child into the maze? Maya is 17 years old, Chen said. And she is better at orbital mechanics than I am. On Earth, teenagers her age calculate trajectories for fun. Dr. Velkos's skin turned bright orange with concern. I must observe this directly. I will travel on your vessel. The next day, Dr. Velkos boarded the Pathfinder with great nervousness. The human ship was smaller than he expected, with simple controls and displays. Maya Chen greeted him with a cheerful smile. She looked even younger than he imagined, with long dark hair tied back and what appeared to be a beverage in her hand. Ready to see some cool physics? Maya asked. The Pathfinder approached the edge of the Kepler maze. Kixtal watched from the station's observation deck along with dozens of other aliens. Multiple screens showed the view from the human ship and tracking data from the station's sensors. Entering the maze now, Commander Chen's voice came through the speakers. The Pathfinder slipped between the first asteroids. Immediately, gravitational readings began fluctuating wildly on the tracking screens. The ship should stop now to recalculate, Kixtal thought. But the Pathfinder kept moving. Inside the ship, Dr. Velkos gripped his seat as asteroids flashed past the windows. The three humans worked together with surprising calm. Gravity well forming at 2 o'clock, Maya called out, her eyes on a display. Pulling at about 15 units. Compensating, pitch up 4 degrees, Commander Chen said, her hands moving smoothly on the controls. Asteroid cluster ahead, Park announced. Parabolic trajectory suggests they will cross our path in 20 seconds. I see it, Chen replied. Adjusting course, rolling 15 degrees starboard. The ship banked smoothly, and the asteroids drifted past harmlessly. Dr. Velkos stared in amazement. You are not stopping to calculate? No time, Maya said cheerfully. The math is pretty simple once you practice. That gravity well is pulling us left, so we push right. That asteroid is moving this way, so we move that way. Basic action and reaction. On the observation deck, Kixtal watched the Pathfinder weave through the maze like a dancer. Other test ships would pause, calculate, move, pause again. The human ship flowed continuously, adjusting every moment. They are not calculating, Torvas whispered beside Kixtal. They are predicting. There is a difference. 4 hours later, the Pathfinder emerged from the maze unscathed. The previous record was 11 hours. The council chamber fell completely silent as the numbers appeared on screen. Humans had just changed everything. Dr. Velkos spent the entire return journey from the Kepler maze taking notes on his data pad. His skin flickered through colors rapidly, a sign of intense thought among his species. Commander Chen offered him a beverage the humans called coffee, which he politely declined after scanning it and finding it contained toxic levels of caffeine for his biology. I need to understand, Dr. Velkos said, settling into a seat in the ship's small common area. How is this possible? Your brains are not quantum processors. You cannot hold trillions of calculations in your mind. Maya looked up from her own data pad where she had been doing something called homework. We don't calculate everything. We estimate and predict. It is different. Explain this difference, Dr. Velkos urged. Lieutenant Park joined them, carrying his own cup of coffee. Doctor, have you ever thrown an object? Of course. My species has hands. When you throw something at a target, do you stop and calculate the exact angle, force, wind resistance, and gravitational pull? Park asked. Dr. Velkos considered this. No. I simply throw it. Exactly, Park said. Your brain does the math automatically without you thinking about it. Humans evolved doing this for millions of years. We threw rocks at animals to hunt them. We threw spears. We dodged things that were thrown at us. Our brains got very good at predicting trajectories. Maya leaned forward excitedly. When I was little, my father would throw a ball to me. I never thought about the math. I just knew where the ball would be and I caught it. Every human child learns this. Dr. Velkos's skin turned pale blue with realization. So when you navigate through space, you are using the same brain functions you use to catch a ball? Basically, yes, Commander Chin said, joining the conversation. We just scaled it up. Instead of a ball traveling 10 meters, it is a ship traveling 10,000 kilometers. The principle is the same. We see the gravitational forces as things pulling and pushing our ship, just like wind pushes a ball. But the precision required, Dr. Velkos protested weakly. Park smiled. Doctor, on Earth we had human soldiers who could fire weapons at targets 2 kilometers away. They calculated wind speed, air pressure, temperature, the rotation of the planet, and the curve of the bullet's path. They did this in their heads in under 30 seconds. We have been doing precision trajectory work for centuries. Dr. Velkos pulled up his notes from the maze navigation. When Maya announced the gravity well forming, she said about 15 units. She estimated. But when I checked later, it was actually 14.73 units. How did your course remain accurate with such approximation? Because we corrected as we went, Maya explained. I gave an estimate to start. Then we watched how the ship actually moved. If we were pulling too far left, we adjusted right. We were constantly correcting based on what we observed. Like steering a ground vehicle, Chin added. You do not calculate the exact angle needed for every turn. You turn the wheel, see if you are going the right direction, and adjust. We do the same thing with the ship. Dr. Velkos felt something like excitement building in his chest. Your species does not calculate trajectories despite lacking computers. You calculate trajectories because you never had computers to do it for you. You had to develop the biological ability. I never thought of it that way, Park said slowly. But yes, I suppose that is true. My species developed computational matrices 3,000 years ago, Dr. Velkos said quietly. We stopped teaching natural mathematics because we did not need it. We forgot how to estimate and predict. We can only calculate with absolute precision, which takes time. Maya grinned. So you are saying we have an advantage because we are more primitive? Not primitive, Dr. Velkos corrected. Evolved differently. Your limitation became your strength. Commander Chin stood and looked out the window at the stars passing by. Doctor, wait until you see what humans can do with weapons targeting. If you think navigation is impressive, our military pilots are going to blow your mind. Dr. Velkos's skin flashed bright red with alarm. He suddenly realized that humanity's entrance into the galaxy was going to change far more than just navigation standards. 6 months after the Kepler maze demonstration, the galaxy looked very different. Kixtal stood in his office on the council station, reviewing the flood of requests that had poured in. Every major corporation, military fleet, and exploration guild wanted to hire human navigators. The demand was so high that Earth had to create a special academy just to train humans for space navigation roles. The economic impact was staggering. A single human navigator could do the work of a quantum computational matrix that cost millions of credits. They required no special equipment, just a basic calculator and star charts. They never crashed or needed software updates. And most importantly, they could make split-second decisions that saved lives. Dr. Velkos had become something of an expert on human cognition. His research paper, titled Biological Computation and Intuitive Physics in Human Navigation, was now required reading in universities across 12 systems. Today he stood in Kixtal's office with news. I am going to Earth, Dr. Velkos announced, his skin bright with excitement. For what purpose? Kixtal asked. To learn. Commander Chin has invited me to study at a human university. They have a program teaching what they call eyeballing it. The art of quick estimation and intuitive calculation. Kixtal's antennae twitched with amusement. You, one of the galaxy's finest scientists, are going to learn to eyeball things? Mock me if you wish, Dr. Velkos said. But I have seen what humans can do. I want to understand if other species can learn these skills, or if it is unique to human biology. 3 months later, Kixtal received a video message from Dr. Velkos on Earth. The scientist appeared to be standing in an open field. Young humans ran around behind him, engaged in some kind of game involving a small white ball and wooden sticks. Kixtal, you must see this, Dr. Velkos said in the recording. His skin was flushed green with wonder. This is called baseball. A human throws a ball at speeds exceeding 40 meters per second. Another human, standing 18 meters away, has less than half a second to predict the ball's trajectory and hit it with a stick. And they do this successfully about 30% of the time. The recording showed a young human hitting the ball, which soared through the air in a high arc. 3 other humans immediately began running, predicting exactly where the ball would land. One caught it smoothly without breaking stride. They do not calculate, Dr. Velkos continued. They simply know. Their brains process the trajectory automatically. I have been practicing for 3 months, and I can now estimate simple trajectories with about 60% accuracy. It is possible to learn, Kix Tao, but humans start learning as children. They have a lifetime of practice. Another message came a month later. Dr. Velkos was at a human military academy, observing pilot training. Their combat pilots are extraordinary, he reported. In battle simulations, human pilots make targeting decisions in under 2 seconds that take our tactical computers 30 seconds to calculate. No wonder their small fleet has such a strong reputation. Back on the council station, the changes continued. A new department had been created called Human Integration Services. Kix Tao had been promoted to director. His job was to help place human navigators throughout the galaxy and to teach other species how to work with them. He currently sat in a meeting with representatives from the Thorin Mining Guild. They wanted to hire 50 human navigators for their asteroid mining operations. But why do you need so many? Kix Tao asked. The Thorin representative, a large creature covered in rocky plates, explained. Our miners must navigate through dense asteroid fields constantly. With computational matrices, they must stop every 10 minutes to recalculate. With human navigators, they can move continuously. It increases productivity by 400%. Kix Tao approved the request and moved to the next item. A message from the Galactic Military Council. They wanted to discuss creating mixed-species combat wings with human navigators paired with alien pilots. As he worked through the requests, Kix Tao thought about how much had changed. 6 months ago, humans were considered primitives with barely functional technology. Now they were the most valuable resource in the galaxy. That evening, Kix Tao received a personal message from Commander Chin. She and the Pathfinder had been hired to lead an exploration mission into uncharted space, where no computational matrices existed because there were no star charts to reference. Turns out the galaxy needs people who can navigate without a map, Chin wrote. Humans have been doing that since we first looked up at the stars. Kix Tao looked out his office window at those same stars. Humanity had taught the galaxy an important lesson. Sometimes the most advanced solution was not the most technological one. Sometimes evolution provided tools that no machine could match. He pulled up Dr. Velkos's latest report. The final line read, "We built machines to do what we could not do. Humans built machines to verify what they could already do. Perhaps we have spent too long depending on our technology and not enough time trusting our own abilities. The humans have reminded us that biology, when properly trained, can be just as powerful as any computer." Kix Tao saved the report and smiled. The galaxy was learning from humanity, and humanity was just getting started.